Let us explore why we might crave meditation on our journey from chaos to clarity. This morning's lesson is drawn from a good-hearted question found of all places on Reddit. It begins, why do I want to meditate all the time when I am depressed? And continues, I have been meditating on and off for years, and just recently took up the practice again. I'm currently going through a breakup, and would say I'm in the bargaining/depression stage of grief, and all I want to do with my time is meditate. Why? Is there a reason for this? Can anyone else relate? This is the first time I crave meditating this badly. And it's because I'm feeling depressed. So let's begin with some broad brushstrokes before getting down to the nitty-gritty. So the person used the word depression, and I think they mean the word sorrow and loss and grief. By definition, when we are depressed, we lose the ability to take action. So the very fact that we want to meditate speaks more of sadness, loss, and grief than it does of clinical depression. But I have to say this in all honesty. If you feel you are struggling with clinical depression for more than a month, then by all means contact a psychiatrist, an MD, board-certified psychiatrist, who specializes in A, depression, and B, lifestyle therapies to treat depression. If you don't have access to someone like that, in the description area below the video, you'll find a link to a free service. I make no money from this. I think it's PCRM Find a Doctor, and they will hook you up. However, in America, especially those of us who are raised in the 60s and 70s and 80s, sometimes use the word depression in a non-clinical context and more as a hyperbole of sorrow, loss, and grief. I do not say this to minimize where you're at, just because I want to be responsible with your mental health. So, we have evolved two reward systems. A dopamine-oriented reward system that rewards reproduction and everything that supports reproduction, food, shelter, clothing, water, and the like, with pleasure. We also have an oxytocin-oriented reward system that rewards cooperation with a sense of fulfillment. Biologically speaking, our species is not the swiftest nor the strongest. We are not long of fang nor sharp of claw. And yet we have survived. Some would say thrived. One of the reasons is that we have evolved a need to cooperate. So much so that the specter of losing cooperation, even in a less than ideal situation, fills us with dread and aversion and grief. Our instincts did not evolve to make us happy. They evolved to ensure that we'd lived long enough to pass on our genetic material to the next generation. There's something rather ruthless and almost predatory about our relationship to genes, evolution, and instinct. Some would say that our genes almost act as a parasite and we their host. think back to the madness of junior high for any signs, for any evidence you might require of this. So I said all that to say this. Loss of a relationship is a form of trauma. We have evolved self-righting mechanisms. We have tubes in our inner ears lined with hairs and nerves and fluid that help us to walk upright. And we compensate unconsciously for whatever terrain or furniture we find ourselves negotiating to maintain a certain relationship to a real or imagined absolute plane. We make these course corrections all the time. We are wired to do so. We are wired to sleep when we are tired, for failure to do so will undermine the glymphatic system in our brain and lead to an early death. We are wired to drink when we are thirsty, to seek shade when we are hot, to seek warmth when we are cold, to seek food when we hunger. These are all primal mechanisms. We also seek peace when we are in turmoil. That, too, is a primal drive relying upon neurological mechanisms. So what I'd like to do is explore meditation through the lens of neuroscience, if I might, to shed some light upon this for you. Consider this rather crude drawing of the cross-section of a human brain. This, of course, being the forehead. First, I'll explain what doesn't work, and then I'll explain what does work for the sake of context. Sturgeon's law reminds us that 90% of everything sucks, but not in the fun, tingly way. Therefore, it should come as little surprise that the majority of meditation instructors are pretty terrible, recommending things like active concentration and active analysis. You see, the only way to perform those tasks is by relying upon discrete neurological structures such as our medial prefrontal cortex or our dorsolateral prefrontal cortex. Now, the prefrontal cortex is a delightful Swiss Army knife of tools, helping us to compare and contrast and analyze and calculate and edit and do all these really important detail-oriented things. Ask a fitness trainer, they'll tell you that regardless of the strength of your muscle, your diet, and the robustness of your workout, you can overtrain. In the short term, overtraining can diminish your performance. In the long term, overtraining can injure you and perhaps even disable you. Similarly, when we overtrain our prefrontal cortex in the short term, according to fMRI studies, functional magnetic resonance imaging studies, our amygdala lights up, which is the seat of anxiety and aggression. In the long term, if we persist in ignoring these symptoms of overuse and just flat out abuse our prefrontal cortex, the odds are pretty good we'll start to present with symptoms of depression. That sucks, but I've got some good news. There are discrete structures within our central nervous system that have evolved specifically to help us cope. The Buddha taught an eightfold path. Mindfulness is a seventh fold of that eightfold path. And every time we inhale, whether we know it or not, we access our sympathetic nervous system ensconced within the middle third of our spinal cord. This bad boy has evolved not only to perceive, but to perceive in a very specific way, to perceive vulnerably, passively, viscerally, and randomly. To perceive passively in times of stress could feel like it will compound the stress. To perceive sight, sound, sensations, flavors, scents, and the like, emotions, intentions, thoughts, memories, and imaginings can feel like a burden. To perceive all manner of phenomena, from the external to the internal, from the physical to the mental, from the pleasurable to the painful, from the interesting to the boring, from the glorious to the grotesque, could feel like it might be more than we could bear. And that brings us to meditation, the eighth fold of the Buddha's Eightfold Path. You see, every time we exhale, whether we know it or not, evolution has wired us to access our parasympathetic nervous system. Ensconced within both the lower third and the upper third of that same spinal cord. This parasympathetic nervous system has evolved to support both physical relaxation as well as mental release. Now, you might say, well, if that's the case, then why do I gotta meditate? Why not just keep on breathing like I've been doing since birth? In a word, the answer is Urkel. Remember the TV show in the 80s with a kid named Urkel who was clever and good-hearted, but sure was klutzy? Our central nervous system is so jam-packed with useful tools that they often elbow each other accidentally and interfere with each other. But there's a workaround. When we silently, mentally, and passively recite the demonstrative pronoun this, and we do so during our inhalation, then our big old brain begins to spontaneously cooperate with our sympathetic nervous system. Similarly, when we silently, mentally, and passively recite the one-syllable verb ease, and we do so during our exhalation, this exact same brain begins spontaneously cooperating with our parasympathetic nervous system. In other words, just as metaphysical teachers have insisted for ages, words guide intention, intention guides mind. How cool is that? Cats are great meditation teachers. They get the zoomies, and then they stop. They sit in a very regal manner, stare off into nothing or stare at a wall, and take pleasure from it. In nature, when we see prey outrun predator, prey can often be found taking a nap afterwards, and in that nap experience violent REM cycles where their whole body shakes. And they wake up as if all their stress mechanisms have reset, and they go back to grazing. Because we're wired to find that eating always seems like a good idea. When we are chased by the predators of misfortune, we are wired to seek the relief that can only come from our sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous systems. This is why in times of loss and turmoil, we crave the peace that comes from meditation. I do look forward to chanting and meditating with you together as a team after approximately 30 seconds of housekeeping. This is Lama Jigme Gyatso of the Buddha Joy Meditation School. For more than 30 years, I've spent about 8 hours a day, almost every day, studying, practicing, mastering, and reverse engineering the teachings and techniques of each sect of Buddhism so that you would not have to. Welcome, my friends, to Meditate Like a Jedi, which is made possible due to the generosity of viewers just like you. Let us turn our attention to the latest iteration of Green Heroine's homage and meditation. Let's open this practice by chanting love and letting go's intentions of universal enlightenment and well-being. So this isn't prayer to a real or imagined celestial entity, for such things makes petulant children of us all, but merely an expression of our intention, which helps us to be fully functional adults. Together. May whole minds of all beings lucid, yet void no be as peacefully enlightened as our Buddha's mind symbolized by our bija syllable. Excuse me. May all speech of all beings resounding yet void no be as joyfully loving as a Buddha's speech symbolized by mantra. May all forms of all beings sensual yet void no be as beautifully healthy as a yada mark type depicted in Buddhist statuary. May all lots of all beings appearing yet void no be as safely fortunate as a pure land of Lord represented in Buddhist paintings. And now a couple disclaimers together. Rather than indulge our controlling tendencies with all follies of active visualization, emotion, magic, and belief, we could just recite these kind words in harmony with our breathing and allow our subconscious to do the heavy lifting. Let us accept the rigidity that confuses metaphors for statements literal, and relax into the flexibility that savors the chance explaining metaphors as similes. So we're going to alternate between various quatrains of a classic text, that homage to the 21 Tadas, with meditation. And I think you will find it increases your resourcefulness. The rule of thumb is to chant each quatrain 3 times each. Oh, my bow to the noble transcendent liberator. Oh, my bow to the noble transcendent liberator. Oh, my bow to the noble transcendent liberator. And now as silently, mentally, and passively we recite the demonstrative pronoun this during our inhalation, let us kick back and watch the antics of mind. As it perceives, emotes, intends, reasons, recalls, and imagines. As we silently, mentally, and passively recite the one-syllable verb ease during our exhalation, let us relax into mind's non-graspable nature. Almost shot a quick one, heroine whose eyes like a flash like lightning, born from the opening corolla of the lotus face of the Lord of the triple world. Almost shot a quick one, heroine whose eyes flash like lightning, born from the opening corolla of the lotus face of the Lord of the triple world. Almost shot a quick one, heroine whose eyes flash like lightning, born from the opening corolla of the lotus face of the Lord of the triple world. Homage to you whose face is like 100 autumns gathered, and blazes with the dazzling light of 1,000 constellations. Oopsie. Homage to you whose face is like 100 autumns gathered, and blazes with the dazzling light of 1,000 constellations. Homage to you whose face is like 100 autumns gathered, and blazes with the dazzling light of 1,000 constellations. Homage you born from a good blue lotus and adorned with a lotus flower. Essence of giving, non-violence, patience, ill mindfulness, and meditation. Homage to you who crown all Buddhas, his actions subdues without limit. Attend to every perfection, on you the Bodhisattvas rely. Homage to you who crown all Buddhas, whose actions subdues without limit. Attain to every perfection, on you the Bodhisattvas rely. Homage to you who crown all Buddhas, on whose actions subdues without limit. Attain to every perfection, on you the Bodhisattvas rely. Whoops. Okay, here we go. Homage you to Tara, and who fill the realms of desire, form and space. You crush 7 worlds beneath your feet, and have power to call all forces. Homage you to Tara, and unveil the realms of desire, form and space. You crush 7 worlds beneath your feet, and have power to call all forces. Homage you to Tara, and unveil the realms of desire, form and space. You crush 7 worlds beneath your feet, and have power to call all forces. Homage you adored by Indra, Agni, Brahma, Vayu, and Ishvara. Praised and sung by hosts of spirits, zombies, entities, and yakshas. Homage you adored by Indra, Agni, Brahma, Vayu, and Ishvara. Praised and sung by hosts of spirits, zombies, entities, and yakshas. Homage you adored by Indra, Agni, Brahma, Vayu, and Ishvara. Praised and sung by hosts of spirits, zombies, entities, and yakshas. Almost you whose tray and page destroy external wheels of magic. Right leg drawn in and left extended, you blaze within a raging fire. Almost you whose tray and page destroy external wheels of magic. Right leg drawn in and left extended, you blaze within a raging fire. O monster, you whose tray and page destroy external wheels of magic. Right leg drawn in and left extended, you blaze within a raging fire. O monster, you whose tutor destroys with the great fierce almighty demons. With a wrathful frown on your lotus face, you slay all foes without exception. O monster, you whose tutor destroys with great fierce almighty demons. With a wrathful frown on your lotus face, you slay all foes without exception. O monster, you whose tutor destroys a great fierce almighty demons. With a wrathful frown on your lotus face, you slay all foes without exception. O monster, you beautifully adorned by the three jewels gesture at your heart. Your wheels shines in all directions with a whirling mass of light. So what do we mean by the three jewels? The three jewels is a metaphor for the three. Well, it's a very concise way of saying the wish-fulfilling jewels which is a metaphor for relying upon the Buddha's example and instructions and students, which are referred to in Sanskrit as Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. Oh, Maji, you beautifully adorn Mother, three jewels gesture at your heart. Your will shines in all directions with a whirling mass of light. Oh, Maji, you beautifully adorn Mother, three jewels gesture at your heart. Your will shines in all directions with a whirling mass of light. O Master, you radiant and joyful as crown amidst a garland of light. You brought the laughter of Tutata, conquer demons and lords of the world. O Master, you radiant and joyful whose crown amidst a garland of light. You brought the laughter of Tutata, conquer demons and lords of the world. O Master, you radiant and joyful, whose crown amidst a garland of light. You by the laughter of Tutata conquer demons and lords of the world. O Master, you with power to invoke the assembly of local protectors. With your fist round and vibrating, whom you bring freedom from all poverty. Almost you with power to invoke the assembly of local protectors. With your fist round and vibrating, whom you bring freedom from all poverty. Almost you with power to invoke the assembly of local protectors. With your fist round and vibrating, whom you bring freedom from all poverty. I'll measure you with crescent moon chrono, your adornment dazzling bright. From your hair not Amitabha shines eternal with great beams of light. I'll measure you with crescent moon chrono, your adornments dazzling bright. From your hair not Amitabha shines eternal with great beams of light. I'll measure you with crescent moon chrono, your adornments dazzling bright. From your hair not Amitabha shines eternal with great beams of light. Almost you who dwell in a blazing wreath like the fire in the end of this age. Your right leg outstretched and left drawn in joy surrounds you who defeat hosts of foes. Almost you who dwell in a blazing wreath like the fire at the end of this age. Your right leg outstretched and left drawn in joy surrounds you who defeat hosts of foes. Almost you who dwell in a blazing wreath like the fire at the end of this age. Your right leg outstretched and left drawn in joy surrounds you who defeat hosts of foes. Almost you whose foot stomps the earth and his small strikes the ground by your side. With a wrathful glance and the citadel whom you subdue all in the 7 stages. Almost you whose foot stomps the earth and his palm strikes the ground by your side. With a wrathful glance and the citadel whom you subdue all in the 7 stages. Almost you whose foot stomps the earth and whose palm strikes the ground by your side. With a wrathful glance and the citadel whom you subdue all in the 7 stages. Whoops. Homage to the blissful, virtuous, peaceful one, object of practice, nirvana's peace. Perfectly endowed with so high and overcoming all the great evils. Homage to the blissful, virtuous, peaceful one, object of practice, nirvana's peace. Perfectly endowed with so high and overcoming all the great evils. Homage to the blissful, virtuous, peaceful one, object of practice, nirvana's peace. Perfectly endowed with so high and overcoming all the great evils. Homage to you with joyous retinue, you subdue fully all enemies' forms. The ten-syllable mantra adorns your heart and your soul, and your knowledge whom gives liberation. Homage to you with joyous retinue, you subdue fully all enemies' forms. The ten-syllable mantra adorns your heart and your knowledge whom gives liberation. Homage to you with joyous retinue, you subdue fully all enemies' forms. The ten-syllable mantra adorns your heart and your knowledge whom gives liberation. One moment. Homage to you with joyous retinue, you subdue fully all enemies' forms. The ten-syllable mantra adorns your heart and your knowledge whom gives liberation. Homage to the with stomping feet, whose essence is the seeds of the moon. You cosmetic mandata vinja, and all the three worlds who tremble and shake. Homage to the with stomping feet, whose essence is the seeds of the moon. You cosmetic mandata and venja, and all the three worlds who tremble and shake. Homage to the with stomping feet, whose essence is the seeds of the moon. You cosmetic mandata and venja, and all three worlds who tremble and shake. Homage to you who hold in your hand a moon like a celestial lake, saying Tada twice in the syllable, pay you dispel all poisons without exception. Homage to you who hold in your hand a moon like a celestial lake, saying Tada twice in the syllable, pay you dispel all poisons without exception. Homage to you who hold in your hand a moon like a celestial lake. Sing Tada twice in the syllable, pay you dispel all poisons without exception. Homage to you in whom the kings of gods, the gods themselves and all spirits rely. Your armor radiates joy to all you, soothe conflicts and nightmares as well. Homage to you in whom the kings of gods, the gods themselves and all spirits rely. Your armor radiates joy to all you, soothe conflicts and nightmares as well. Homage to you on whom the kings of gods, the gods themselves, and all spirits rely. Your armor radiates joy to all you, soothe conflicts and nightmares as well. Homage to you whose eyes like the sun and moon radiate with pure brilliant light, uttering hot advice and the into Tada dispels extremely fearsome plagues. Homage to you whose eyes like the sun and moon radiate with pure brilliant light, uttering hot advice unto Tada dispels extremely fearsome plagues. Homage to you whose eyes like the sun and moon radiate with pure brilliant light, uttering hot advice unto Tada dispels extremely fearsome plagues. O Master, you adorn with the three natures perfectly, endowed with peaceful strength. You destroy demons, zombies, and yakshas, O Dure, most exalted and sublime. O Master, you adorn with three natures perfectly, endowed with peaceful strength. You destroy zombies, you destroy demons, zombies, and yakshas, O Ture, most exalted and sublime. O Master, you adorn with three natures perfectly, endowed with peaceful strength. You destroy demons, zombies, and yakshas, O Ture, most exalted and sublime. Well, that's just weird, isn't it? Thus a rune mantra is prayed in the 21 homages offered. Thus a rune mantra is praised in the 21 homages offered. Thus the rune mantra is praised in the 21 homages offered. O Mama Shatara, the swift and courageous, you drive away all fears with tutori. Heroine fulfilling all aims with duty, with a suitable soha, may all be as beneficial as you. O Mama Shatara, the swift and courageous, you drive away all fears with tutori. Heroine fulfilling all aims with duty, with a suitable soha, may all be beneficial as you. O Mama Chitara, the swift and courageous, you drive away all fears with tutori. Heroine fulfilling all aims with duty, with a suitable soha, may all be as beneficial as you. Om Dare 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 Sowa, 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 Om dare dare so wa. Om dare 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 so wa. Let us seal this practice by chanting love and letting go's wishes for universal enlightenment and well-being. May all minds of all beings lucid yet void no be as peacefully as enlightened as Buddha's as a Buddha's mind symbolized by a bija salambo. May all speech of all beings resounding and void no be as joyfully loving as our Buddha's speech symbolized by mantra. May all forms of all beings sensual yet void no be as beautifully healthy as a yatama type depicted in Buddha's statuary. May all lots of all beings appearing yet void no be as safely fortunate as a pure land of law represented in Buddhist paintings. If you feel that I have earned it, you could give this live stream a thumbs up. You could even help support this channel. In